song's for your ward. Early one morning while making the rounds, I took a shot of cocaine and I shot my woman down. I went right home and I went to bed. I stuck that loving 44 beneath my head.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the 21st episode of Auditory Osmosis.
Hello, this episode is brought to you by alcohol, because now you can drink Auditory Osmosis. You can finally drink. We're going to have
Auditory
a toast to that.
Osmosis is now legal age to consume intoxicating beverages.
I mean, we didn't even think about it at 18, but it's kind of legal at 18, right?
Cheers to Auditory Osmosis.
Cheers. Ding. Yeah, that was a good, that sounded great.
That was a simulated sound from our sound engineer.
Thanks, Roberto Alomar. Sound like you're an old baseball player, but it's just
Roberto Alomar.
Just happens to be your name.
Roberto Alomar, tell us about how your grandfather fought to save the Alamo.
Well, he was with Santa Anna, and one day he fought at the Alamo. Let's not even talk about. We can't talk anymore, Roberto.
Yeah, what a crazy like the podcast we had last time. We were like, everything's confusing. Well, don't know what to do. The leaks are still rolling out, dude. Can you believe that?
So not only is it confusing on like a governmental basis, or like I think we started talking about it. It starts at the educational level, like the even I guess you'd probably say high school, but you really start to see it in college. You just start to see all the easiest people to put into your system. You know what I mean?
Well,
but this is what the races are too, kind of, you know.
But like I was saying to you earlier, I was reading an author say, like, we raise our children in this this liberal society. We tell them all throughout, because everything is inclusive and fair play. Everybody's a winner. We are the world. I always say that. I always say we are the world, because every time I think of like the most liberal, just the epitome of liberalism, I think of that "We Are the World" when all those pop stars get together and try to save Africa. But this author, he was saying, we raise our children and we tell them all throughout school that the pieces on the chessboard don't matter. They're all unique and they contribute in their own unique way. Winning and losing doesn't matter. It's all about how you play. And all of that turns out to be not true later on. You know what I mean? Like, the kids get out of school and they may go into the banking scam of the college schematic, where they want to get their busy little worker bee degree. Of course, it's not about liberating them from ignorance through the arts of academia. But they find out that the world is actually cutthroat, and many people, it turns out, are very concerned with winning or losing, right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
But isn't that where it starts? The educational level, where we tell the kid, where we confuse them. The confusion starts when they're young. We go, little Johnny, little Jennifer, you don't have to worry about winning or losing.
Well, no, that's a huge thing nowadays too. Is you get these fucking. I mean, we used to get them back then, but I feel like it's a gold star that you get nowadays, but it's a participation award. You know what I mean?
Right.
How we used to get those and like everything we did. Like, I always knew, it's like, no, fuck that. I'm sorry, but I didn't win. Why are you giving me the same thing that the winner got? Because it's a ribbon. You know,
right. I mean? Why are they obsessed with equalizing a playing field that is inherently never equal? You know what I mean? Like, when you step into the Thunderdome, somebody's going to walk out of there.
Welcome to Thunderdome, bitch.
And I'm not saying, but that's a metaphor. Mad Max. It's a metaphor for the extremes of life, I suppose.
Right.
And life really is the Thunderdome. You know what I mean? You turn people out of these cookie cutter schools, and you tell them that their little gumdrop buttons are going to make the number one draft pick for whatever place they apply at, whether it be a prestigious institution that is public, private, etc. But it turns out the dude with more gumdrop buttons on his cookie cutter diploma is going to get the job before you're even considered, I suppose. But why do we do that? Why do we like to start confusing and assimilating? I mean, I understand why we assimilate them at such a young age, but why do we confuse them at such a young age? Because now we have adults. Like, if people want to complain about, I cannot believe Trump's constituency, I can't believe there's Americans who go about their day and they want to believe in this Donald Trump character. He's mentally ill. Don't you agree, Harry? He's mentally ill. And then Harry chimes in. He's like, I agree. I agree, Peter. I was watching CNN and they were saying the same thing. They had a psychiatrist on there and they were saying that Donald Trump, he's a little bit of a loose screw. But don't they understand, like, a man of Donald Trump's stature, his wealth is an indication in the real world. I don't know what type of world the majority of people live in, but in the real world, his purchasing power kind of defines his success, right? Mm-hmm. So in those terms, Donald Trump is successful, and he's not mentally ill. He's not off his rocker. He's preying on the American ignorance, the culture of ignorance, because we're turning out these people. If you want to blame, look, if Donald Trump is elected president, and I mean, we're dealing with two devils. We're dealing with this crooked person and this clown, this gesture, but he's well-meaning, maybe, I don't know, right? The confusion. But if we're going to blame anything for having someone like Donald Trump being catapulted to the nomination of the GOP, we'll have to blame our educational institutions, because we're failing to educate the majority of the American populace to a level where they can differentiate between bullshit and real rhetoric. I mean, rhetoric can be full of deception and rhetoric can be persuasive for a good thing. It seems like the average American, they fundamentally cannot differentiate between deceptive rhetoric and potentially positive rhetoric. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And that starts at an educational level. And I think we set the ground rules when they're in kindergarten, all the way through high school, into college now. And we're not teaching them the right things. That's what I'm getting at.
Well, and they're not raised to learn the right things necessarily, it seems, too. I don't know. I could be wrong. I could be way wrong about that. But again, everybody just takes it for face value instead of reading into it and learning what it really is. I feel like nowadays is what the key, or what really distinguishes us 10 years ago or 15 years ago from now.
Well, right. And it seems as if a degree, which to me, I always say a degree equals your degree of awareness, because whatever degree you pursue kind of sums up your capabilities in the field.
Exactly.
What is your limited degree of awareness? Is it in sociology? Is it in English? We kind of lack the Renaissance man. We don't really have, first of all, American culture for the longest time has been anti-intellectual. They don't like being told.
Wait a second. Auditory Osmosis just took its first shot. Good job. Good job,
I'm so proud of you, little buddy.
Sorry, anyway, yeah.
But yeah, we're anti-intellectual, right? for the longest time, we are obsessed with persecuting anybody who wants to tell us the truth. And we love to venerate or exonerate any character that deceives us with clever lies. You know what I mean? Like, we shoot Martin Luther King, we shoot JFK. The list goes on and on.
Which has all been proven and is out there now.
All I'm saying is we shoot the people who try to elevate our mental capacity, try to elevate our field potential, our degree of awareness. And I don't know what is going on.
I feel like it all changed like back, I don't know, we'll say 50s or 60s when they just figured out they could just pluck these people out and nobody would have a clue and they could just pluck them out of society. And again, society would have no idea who was taken away, but the shit still gets done somehow.
Well, like I was saying earlier to you, I feel as if our education system is not only anti-intellectual until you reach a certain like peak.
Right.
Once you get into the Ivy League, right? The majority of people are going there to find their career path, which really isn't the original purpose behind higher education. But I feel like everything's focused around machine learning. I feel like people, when they go for a degree or they fill out a bubble test, etc.
You mean like when you have a question and they refer you to the www.soandsocollege.com information /
Well, that brings up a good point, and we'll get into that. But I feel like machine learning has replaced the actual art of liberating oneself from ignorance.
Well, like, isn't that a beautiful thing? Like between me and you, for the people that we're not really. I mean, yeah, we use technology for certain things, and
well, it's a tool, not a lifestyle.
Exactly. But you and I, we take pride in knowing and understanding certain things, and like, yeah, we definitely don't take we don't understand the same things, but we definitely take pride in knowing and learning what we want to learn. You know, it's not about like being taught and told all this bullshit. Like, how many times have you heard anything about history that you learned in 6th grade or 12th grade, or like, this shit doesn't come up anymore. You know what I mean? Like,
history puts your time, your disposition into context. Like, if you don't understand the chronological aspect of your disposition, you can't really understand where you're heading or where we've been.
No, and I completely understand that. But people see it this way, as if they don't need to know this shit. They can just use their phone.
Right, service environments.
Right. So I was playing the devil's advocate, but
what happened to, like I said, the Renaissance, man? Okay, back when culture was pro-intellectual, we had the Renaissance, man. We had the well-rounded individual who tapped into several areas, and they didn't have these vertical pillars of compartmentalized study. They had a spherical knowledge of the world. And what I mean, because it mimics the world.
The way we grew up, we've been told that there's jocks and there's preps and there's
classifications, labels, divisions.
These classifications put people into, well, a classification or a place of being. They are this, so therefore this. Well,
they say think outside the box, but they teach and they grade only around what's inside the box.
Right. I mean, but it was amazing. Like, I remember times in college or in elementary school when I would put the answer that would have been outside the box, and then you get like this red writing, a big X, and this red writing that says blah blah. You know, you should have paid attention more in class or something like that. Like, no, I did pay attention, but guess what?
Like, well, I have two examples for what I'm trying to like illustrate. When I say machine learning. I was walking through a line. We've all been through the commercial lines where someone's going to check you out. Eventually, it will be a robot in the future because it's already machine-like anyways, right? And the operating system works like this. The guy who was at the checkout counter, he was burdened with having a busy day, and he was writing a lot of things on paper. And he says, I wish I could learn how to have better handwriting or motor skills and stuff. And, you know, I wish I could take a class on that. This is just the machine mindset at work. And like his cohort, or I'm sorry, his coworker says, oh, well, you could take like composition or something. But he's like, no, I want to focus in on like the motor skills and stuff. And then she's like, oh, you probably take some type of class for what they do police training. And he goes, oh, yeah, that would be fun, but I don't want to take all the psychology. This is what I'm getting at. That whole conversation that I summed up is like a machine talking to another machine, because what they're telling each other is you can't invent your own program and teach yourself motor skills. You got to download somebody else's program. And there's no way around that. And if you don't like aspects of the program, then you should avoid the program altogether. Do you see how this is a machine-like learning program that we've now externalized in our higher education institutions? And I feel like the ignorance that we're seeing come out in the confusion is the result of our failure to educate the American populace. And when people in other countries look at us and laugh at us because our culture is so surreal, I wouldn't even say it's absurd. It is absurd to a degree, but it's just surreal. Like that's a blanket term. But I feel as if we are to the point now where we have blurred the lines between fact and fiction, and we get characters like Donald Trump running for president, whether it be stagecraft or not. The problem, the heart, the core of this problem is that he actually attracts real people who are not a part of stagecraft.
And this, I think this is kind of that. I don't know. I just it's either
right.
There's always gonna be people that will follow you for some reason. If you got, I don't even know how to say it, because
it's like you type into a machine, go to the Trump rally, enter, and boom, prompt, command, go. This is what I'm getting at. It's like we're now little transistors and resistors in a schematic that we call society, and the circuit board is automated.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to like paint an analogy that illustrates the problem, but we got to stop blaming the immediate effect. We have to stop. Go ahead. Sorry.
When you go to McDonald's and you order your own burger on that kiosk, that's what I want to attribute it to.
Well, and okay, if I could do a little parentheses here.
Yes.
Fast food, it would not exist if it wasn't for the vehicle, the motorized vehicle. The invention of the motorized vehicle created a supply, right? And now what is the demand? Food on the go, right? No!
I love this song. It's still on all my playlists, bro.
The goddamn Olympic pause.
What about Ryan Lochte-gate?
Right? Here we go again with the entitlement society and the what. Let me just close up though that whole thing about how the motor vehicle created the demand for fast food. Without our ability to be mobilized on the road, nobody would want fast food. Do you know how difficult it really would be without motorized transportation to have a fast food restaurant? Very, very difficult.
Well, any restaurant, because what is, I think it's like, I don't know if this number is correct.
So to me,
it's probably close. Like 60% of all deliveries and all commerce based on the ground is all trucks.
Well, and to me, that's an analogy. See, like the education system is creating a supply. And what is Trump? A symptom of the demand. You know what I mean? Like there's a whole group of people waiting for a guy like Donald Trump to come along. We don't need a guy like Donald Trump, but he's a symptom of the supply we've created. And we've institutionalized a group of adults who value machine-like prompt and commands and do not think for themselves.
He's the first 100% puppet? Like that? No, you don't think that, you don't think the government could have used all this to their advantage? They're still gonna they're gonna
well, this is a whole different. I mean, if you want to get into that argument,
we can't do that tonight.
You don't want to get into that can of worms because everything can be tracked and traced and relayed and circumvent. Like you could circumvent all the data and intelligence coming through the noosphere, the realm of the human mind.
Stop talking for a second. I could put up one picture that would change everybody's mind, but I'm not going to put it up. But it's a picture of all the Clintons and Trump and a lot of bigwigs standing next to each other, and this was like 20 years ago.
Well, how can anybody actually think Trump's an idiot? He's not. He's not an idiot. Not.
He made a lot from. I mean, yeah, he got a small loan from his father, but he got out of bankruptcy. He probably still is in bankruptcy, to be honest. But
and then you get schmucks, man.
Bankrupt.
I was tuning into MSNBC, the far left of the liberal media establishment, and Penn and Teller. I forget the one that talks. Who is he? Penn and Teller. Which one talks? It's like Jay and Silent Bob. What a bunch of schmucks.
What's their first names?
I don't know. It's just Penn and Teller. So you got this guy who does. He's a magician, right? So he understands sleight of hand, sleight of mind, and he's on MSNBC saying that Donald Trump is an example of mental illness in America. And he knows this because he was on The Apprentice. He was on a reality TV show with Donald Trump. So he knows what he's talking about. And I'm just thinking to myself, any adult with critical thinking skills would know that a reality TV show is not reality.
Well, you can also say that the same TV show brought Dennis Rodman to go to Korea and save the U.S. from Korea's wrath.
Well, it's all like a publicity stunt.
Yeah, exactly.
And this Penn and Teller, and I'm just going to sum them up with the whole name because I don't know which one was which. The guy with the beard who's taller.
Yeah, the one that talks, like you said.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody.
The guy who isn't a mute by design. He had a lot of opinions, but all of them were, he was there to plug his show, talk about how well he's doing in Las Vegas, the city of sin. And then he wanted to kind of preach how the liberal adults should go for Hillary Clinton because she's rational. And I was thinking to myself, man, buddy, if this is what you define as rational, like if we're lost. We're lost as a country if this magician defines someone as rational.
The thing is, people are picking the worst, the worst or the better of two evils. You know what I mean? Like,
all they have to do is put their faith in a third party and get them into the debate stand.
Well, that's
hit the podium. They have to poll 15%.
Yeah, well, that's faux pas anyway, right?
Right, it is. And, I was talking to a friend. He's like, I care about the environment, so I'm going to be voting for the Green Party. That Jill, I don't know if what is it, Jill Steen? I don't know. But I wanted to say, like, so what? Like, why even vote?
Right. Well, it does take away votes from people that are hoping to get those votes, but at the same time, we all know it's the Electoral College and it's the higher ups that actually, and I hate to say it, that put people in office, we'll say.
Well, all I know is the main theme I wanted to start off today with was don't try to point fingers at the archetypes that are presented on the screen. Do not try to say that they are the pinnacle of our problems. The real problems are underneath the surface. The real problem is the educational system is failing in America. Adults are putting their faith in reality TV television stars. They cannot differentiate anymore between where an advertisement starts and stops. They don't know how to craft their own identities. They absorb through visual osmosis instead of auditory osmosis, identities that they see in books, magazines, and they assimilate to this plastic culture.
But they don't,
and they don't really have any say in it.
a lot of the times they don't want to wait for us to talk. They don't want to wait for us to get our point across. They want to fast forward through a video, and they want to just get to the end and learn it for 2 seconds and then never be able to, use that information again unless they pull it back up on YouTube. You know what I mean?
Well, unlike a machine, why would you read any type of information that doesn't have the key words?
Well,
why would you listen to someone who doesn't have a degree in the epitome of proper speech?
Well, it gets it
it
gets even darker if you think about it, like as a brain or as a computer in itself. Like, why would you store information if it doesn't have to be stored? But that's the way people are being pushed and thought to think. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you just triggered something in my mind here.
Sorry, I blew you up.
You triggered me, man.
Here we go.
You ever heard of that?
Were you ready?
You ever heard of that?
Triggers
in society? The politically correct emotional triggers. That's a bunch of nonsense for psychologists to get more grants to do pseudoscience. But you triggered my memory here. To the point that we have finite sensibilities. And we're always battling with infinite potentiality. I just remembered the other night that Randy Quaid. Do you know who Randy Quaid is?
The actor?
Yeah, the actor. He's like gone off the grid lately. And you can look him up online. He has like a full beard. He's talking a bunch of like anti-establishment. He just talks crazy, or at least what we say is crazy. And I don't know if he's in Canada or what, but he's facing a bunch of weird legal things stemming from cases in Hollywood, and Rupert Murdoch is a part of some type of star whacking process. And the other day, that popped into my head, and I just went to go check out what he's doing. And this is, just to capitalize on your point. We are always so driven in this type of tunnel vision. When so many other things are going on, we always forget what's going on outside of that tunnel.
Right.
Isn't it funny, though, how seemingly irrelevant things can come in and become relevant, and then at the same time, things that seem relevant can slip away as irrelevant, and you forget about them?
I feel like I was raised to think this way, like to know that, most of the time when you're going in a tunnel, there's so much around, well, all the time, I guess. There's so much else around you when you're under that tunnel, but the hustle and like everything on top of you and around you compounded, you can feel that more. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
you
exactly.
Yeah. So that's I don't know. I feel like
when you're in the moment, you understand the moment. But
right.
The thing is the moment is a microcosm of a macrocosm. And we as human beings can only give definition to the microcosm of the moment. And we're now living in a world where computers give definition to the macrocosms of all the microcosms. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
we cannot give pattern recognition to our little world and then try to relate it to the bigger picture. Only a computer can do that because we can't crunch that much data. So we as individuals are versing a technocracy of information. How do you even defend yourself against that? And I'm going to tie this in to how we are being fed a disarray of blurry lines.
Blurred lines.
So if the computer decides to overwhelm our senses with its capabilities because it's like 7 million of our brains combined, a quantum computer, if you look up D-Wave, I forgot what they said, but they said it's like 10 million of supercomputers combined. That's one quantum computer. So if you can imagine that this thing is operating through parallel construction and creating solutions to problems outside of linear time and space, Can you imagine a world that it can give us as a script, as a stage? And then can you imagine people interfacing with that world? It would look like what we're doing right now. We would be interfacing with something we can't understand because we are human beings with limited sensibilities.
Well,
And I will stop there and let you roll with that.
if you would have made The Sims more difficult, what do you think that would have done? I mean, that's exactly what you're thinking of. Like you could get so deep into it.
Make the simulation more difficult than it already is.
Right.
Well, if that is, I mean, if that's the focus, the only outcome would be putting restraints on the user or the player of the simulation or the Sims.
And every time you pick up a video game or a movie, or when you see these restraints, what do you do as a person? Not what do people do, but what do you do when you can't do something on a video game, or when you can't?
Well, I attempt. I'm not going to say I do.
No,
I don't know if I do for sure, but I attempt to rationalize what I'm taking in.
Yeah,
and
like, keep going. Sorry.
And if I cannot rationalize it, well, then what do? You kind of accept it for what it is, right? Because you tend to belittle yourself, and then you try to say, well, I'm not getting something, and there's something wrong with me.
Right.
So
then you realize, like, that video game's not made for a person that thinks like that. The video game's made to get to this stupid common goal that everybody has to reach, and that's why they want to play the game, so they can reach it.
Right. So you think the game we're playing right now, in terms of the political circus, do you think it's somebody ratcheting up the difficulty where the average person tries to rationalize it, cannot rationalize it, and then points the blame on themselves?
Well, the thing is like you have two completely opposite ends right now. There's nothing in between. Yeah, there's different parties, but I'm just saying on TV or what everybody is seeing, there's nothing in between. So you have the complete right and the complete left, right?
Right.
So you have to pick the lesser of two evils. But that's what people think. That's
just a paradigm of nonsense.
But that's exactly what it is. And this goes back to the way people are thinking rather than when people are thinking.
I would say that our current contemporary political circus is a form of dialectical deception. And what I mean by that is, to speak on the paradigm, dialectical rhetoric or dialectical dialogue / debate is trying to discover the contradiction between two externalized points. And I feel as if the schematic, I'm going to keep saying schematic. I've been dealing a lot with circuitry lately. I'm becoming an electrical engineer. No, the schematic we're offered, the political one, is a form of dialectical deception, because no matter what, the yin and the yang are manufactured bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
So how can you ever swim through this with your critical thinking skills if both sides are crypto contrived?
Well, you have to realize what those both sides are, and I don't know. I've always been a rebel, though. You know, I see both sides, and I try to understand them. Well, you could say you can give me a song if you'd like to, Mr. Hawkins.
You can sing me a song. You can serenade my soul.
Hey, I understand if you want to serenade me, give me a song.
And then I feel like this confusion. And when we do point blame, we tend to go inward. We go, maybe I just don't understand and I'm not interpreting. And then what do? They do go inward. They go to their smartphones. They go to the matrix where they're being data mined. They go to their virtual reality where they can have control over their fictitious realm where they can pretend to be spacemen.
Just stop talking for a second. Like, this is where they go inward. But where we go inward is we sit and think like, well, I can understand this if I just get all this information and weigh the weigh all the options and like get as much information on this topic as I can, and then try it and do it for myself, and then figure it out from there. Like it's just like a recipe for most food. Okay, you get this recipe, you think, oh, it's probably going to be so good. But when you get there, it's just like, wow, it needs this, or it needs this, I should put some of this. And like, that's now your recipe. That's not the recipe you were going by. That's your recipe. But a lot of the times it takes somebody's certain taste or somebody's certain blah, blah, blah. And that's why they're going to go that way, right?
Well, we're all in it together, of course.
But you'd like to think that. But there's always two sides. So
But
nobody,
it's
we're never in
exactly.
it
But if
together.
you manufacture the two sides, the dialectical deception comes in.
That's exactly the hardest point.
And if the dialectical deception is for you to explore a simulation that is against you, or the difficulty is above your comprehension, what are you left to do? I think that's why the majority of people are going to these. They're going online. They're going playing their apps. They're playing Pokemon Go because they feel powerless. And in that realm, they feel powerful.
Yeah, I mean, that's not real life, though. That's the point.
But that is exactly the point.
But well, I know it's so much back and forth, and it's so much. You think that way, and I think a different way. But at the same time, we both know the way shit's going on right now is wrong.
Well, it's confusing.
It's because
I mean, China just launched a quantum satellite into space. Nobody's talked about this. People are not talking about CRISPR, genetic engineering. Why aren't we talking about this stuff? This stuff is going to fundamentally change the human race.
Yeah, I mean, but how are we going to understand it?
Exactly. I don't
Chinese,
understand.
Man. It's Chinese.
It's a foreign language.
How are we going to understand it?
Exactly. It's crypto contrived.
Damn it.
It's a
full circle.
It's a full. I mean, this is the biggest problem. This is indoctrinated ignorance. We're educating people.
If we're getting this information, what do you think we've already done?
Well,
honestly?
here. Well, first of all, this goes back to when we had Mr. Sam on for the very first time. Remember what he said? Do you recall when we were arguing over?
Okay, probably
the
like
algorithms.
Because I can't talk to you guys anymore. Sorry,
you guys are filled with a bunch of weird theories. No,
you guys have ideas and they don't go along with the what's supposed to go on.
Excuse me, but the computer code doesn't say. But
we're just kidding, Sam. Sam, we love having you on. We can't wait till you're back.
But no, when I was arguing with him, I'm saying, hey, how do you feel about these algorithms that are shaping your experience? And through biomimicry, you're becoming the algorithm. And that sounds like sensational. And perhaps I am sensational. If you go through our podcast, I'm a sensational character.
Oh, fucking here we go.
But do you remember what he said? He said, I type in something and I know what I want. And what did I say? I said, but what if you don't know what you want? This is the big difference between maybe us and the average Joe.
That's why we roll the dice, my friend.
We don't know what we want, so we probe. Most people think they know what they want, and they go with the flow.
Most people don't understand why I said I roll the dice, but if you do understand, why don't you comment?
But this is the whole point. Like, if I go online and search for something I have no knowledge about, am I going to learn something? Am I going to better myself? Perhaps, right? If I find the right information, cross-reference it, explore the world, the noosphere. But if I think I know what I want, the computer is going to say, you sure do, buddy. Here's the next Taylor Swift song.
Instead of, don't you mean you wanted this?
Well, and the next thing you know, the computer knows what you want because you think you know what you want, and you're not expanding your mind. And the next thing you know, you're clicking on a video and the video starts up and it goes, Drew looks at me. I think a smile, so he won't say, I want,
what do you?
I need everything that we should be.
What are you doing?
I'm just saying, I wind up on Teardrops on My Guitar by Taylor Swift.
I mean,
And I'm getting sucked into this vortex of a gobbledygook.
you need to understand the person that was in charge of that album, and then maybe you'll understand why you like the music so much.
Well, not to mention all the marketing agents who were like, Taylor Swift, you need to do well with this demographic.
Well,
hey, you're not doing well with this demographic.
She's even easy to sell, but Google it right now.
You can just stop on She's Easy.
No, you can't, because she's probably not the easiest.
No.
We'll just say she has style and she's a bad bitch. Anyway, besides
Blank
what
spaces.
No, but see who is basically in charge of that album. And
Well,
it's also,
all I gotta say to the haters is just shake it off.
you fucking faggot. Sorry, that was really mean. And
That was very hostile.
But that was probably bad to the LBJT community. But guess what? That was comedy, and I didn't mean to hate on anybody. I was just joking.
But yeah, I mean, I just think that people, for the most part, use these our new technologies, our new communication platforms as lifestyle enhancers instead of tools to expand their mind.
Well, and I mean, yes, it's the truth. There are people out there that are trying to do this, that are using it for what it really should be used for, expanding the mind.
Do you ever go on YouTube and click on popular now?
No.
Or trending? Do you ever do that?
No, I just go to my subscriptions, and then if that doesn't suit me, I do my search.
It's usually a nightmare of commercial propaganda mixed in with incoherent memes.
I'm sure. Why do you do it, Mr. Hawkins?
Cultural insight.
You seem to have that answer down pat.
Oh yeah. It's always in the background running. You know how many software programs I'm running in the back of my mind?
So you're going back to the software and circuitry?
Well, yeah, because it seems as if the machine learning,
That's
the
so
environment.
easy. So easy to understand. My whole life is a software and circuitry, man.
You know that exactly. This is the problem with modern man. Remember, what was it? 2 episodes ago, I started reading from Philip K. Dick, and you were just like, "Oh, okay, this is getting heavy," but I didn't stop. I just kept going.
But you do that all the time.
That's true. And remember, I eventually broke into this little like diatribe. I was saying, I think a lot of our modern cosmologies come from the computer era. How we see the computer as a metaphor, and we try to relate ourselves to the universe through the metaphor of the computer.
Yes. Hey, you should just open your group chat, because I'm trying to talk to you on the group chat and you're not answering me.
Group chat? What is group chat?
Well, it's that thing on the right side, and you can say stuff. Hopefully other people
Oh, okay, all right.
do now.
Hello there.
Hey, see, there you go.
So, yeah. And I was saying that our modern cosmologies come through the metaphor of our technology. Well, guess what I viewed on trending now on YouTube?
Go on.
You know the game No Man's Sky?
Dude. Okay, yeah.
Well, first of all, let me just tell you that the reason why it's called No Man's Sky is because it isn't for men. Skynet is for the children. But my point is, I was watching a YouTube video where a grown adult,
sorry, I laughed.
Own adult from PBS, from public broadcasting. Like us.
public broadcasting. Tonight we're talking about.
I'm telling you, this millennial generation is breaking into the mainstream now. And we got to be on guard because they are full of nonsense.
Elbow them in the face. Knee them in their gut area. I'm telling you, give them rib shots and liver shots they've never felt before. I just want to slap you in the face and punch you in the nose because guess what? I don't like you.
So much hate, so much rage. But
sorry, millennials.
He was talking about, and he was conveying his, I guess, his whole worldview. And I just kept laughing. Remind you, this is on YouTube trending, right? So this is the majority. A lot of people are going, yeah, this makes sense. I'm going to click on it. This represents me. And this PBS broadcaster, he was talking about how our world might be a simulation and how No Man's Sky mirrors, as an example, how our world might be a simulation. This is how far gone people are. This is completely just how obliterated their critical thinking skills are. This guy can't recognize that perhaps the okay, there's something called simulation theory in the world of physics. And these idiots.
What is simulation theory? Tell people.
Simulation theory is basically based. Why did I? It's based upon mathematical equations stating that.
This episode is brought to you by marijuana. Yes, he shut up because he knew I was going to say marijuana.
It's based upon mathematical equations, and our fate by design comes through the math of the universe, and perhaps we do not have free will, despite the argument of free will versus determinism, although I say technological determinism versus free will. And that simulation theory basically encompasses the idea that we are not in control of the outcome. It's a variable of statistics that is controlled through the realm of mathematical expression. So, let me just say this. Did anybody stop to think that maybe simulation theory came from the computer era because the computer as a technology is a metaphor for how we experience reality? Notice how cosmologies mimic the communication apparatus or the communication platform they inhabit. For instance, Newtonian cosmology came out of the typographic medium. So how can these witless mouth breathers sit there and try to say that this is public broadcasting and simulation theory might be true because look at No Man's Sky. Boom. And what? No. Have you ever thought that maybe the computer created or produced this metaphor that you are now living through and you're believing in not string theory, simulation theory, because the computer is a metaphor for your limited capacity, your mental comprehension to grasp, and that simulation theory is a byproduct of the new metaphor that is the computer.
See, that's the wrong. I mean, it's crazy to think about. But that's for the weak-hearted and weak-minded. That's what happens. They get fed into that bullshit. But
and I feel... I'm sorry. Go ahead.
We're the complete opposite. You know, we understand that cells and mitochondria break down, and we know how long it takes. So we know that, we're going to die. Guess what? Because people die, right?
Right.
But we're going to make the best of it rather than the psychos nowadays. Like, I mean...
Well, the maturation, the level of maturity really defines your approach to death, right?
Right.
I've read Derrida's literature, Jacques Derrida's literature on death, And a lot of Buddhist monks and people who come to this level of knowledge, they conquer the fear of death because they've mastered themselves. Go on.
Right. Well, it's. I mean, I haven't read all of the same thing, but I have read some of. Anyway, it's just. I think that people will say they're not scared of death, but death is an inevitability. So
Death is the black void hanging underneath us.
what are we going to understand in between this bright light and dark void? Huh?
Well, this is what I think about when I hear somebody on public broadcasting networks say that, hey, No Man's Sky is totally an example of how our real life works. It's like, dude, this is a fantasy computer game made through mathematical equations.
No Man's Sky is nothing like how
the real world works.
It's nothing. You're driving around in a spaceship going a light speed and shooting at things in the space, and your mind.
It's a bunch of sensory deception, just like Plato extrapolated upon and Kant furthered in the modern conscience, because he tried to distinguish Locke's differentiation between the intellect and the feeling in the emotional centers of the mind.
Right.
And Kantian philosophy said that, just let me finish this point. Kantian philosophy said that all feelings and relations to the thing, the object, are given definition through the medium of the intellect, where in truth, the thing in itself is not definable, because we don't know what it is. It's through the senses we define it.
Well, let me tell you about this. This is what I said about No Man's Sky already. This is a game I'll probably end up getting to in the winter, because I can turn my brain off literally and just do all this stupid bullshit that we know isn't real, but I can do it because that's
trivial relaxation.
Exactly. Like, I can turn off a lot of sensory and a lot of just everything. My brain just completely can turn off because I know this shit's not right, and I know this shit wouldn't work. But I mean, like lasers that mine asteroids so you can have plutonium while flying through space. I mean, come on, that's not going to be real. We all know that. But it's fun to be able to do in a game and just turn your brain off.
You get to the point where you go back to that old adage, does art imitate life or does life imitate art? But beyond that, let me just say this. I can see a cosmology such as the one I kind of critiqued, the PBS. Right. No Man's Sky is a simulation, and it kind of reflects our real life. It's all a simulation. I feel as if that can be weaponized by the commercial elites. Like, I'm not saying Elon Musk is a bad guy. I'm not saying people like Peter Thiel or Peter Thiel, however you say his name, or Eric Schmidt. I don't know them. All I'm saying are Ray Kurzweil. But I'm saying that they'll take that cosmology and our very limited understanding of the universe, twist it, and then make people believe that life is a simulation, because politically they want to live forever. Going into our conversation on people fearing death, they are too immature to accept their own death, their own fate. And so they're going to twist our cosmologies to fit their political agenda, and they're going to tell people that the world's a simulation. So when they build technology for us to be a simulation, we'll accept it.
I think this is why Cosmos won't get another season on Fox, because it started getting into a place where people were like they were thinking.
Whoa, give me the background on this.
Have you seen the new? Because the first Cosmos was made by what's his name back in I think it was the 70s, astrophysicist.
Neil Diamond. No.
No, I have to look this shit up because I can't believe I'm blanking out on it. But you look it up. You're faster than I am. But the Cosmos. So Neil deGrasse Tyson was the one that redid it because it was amazing. It was starting to inform people about like what's going on, string theory, all this other bullshit. but they could never get too deep into any of these topics because it was on Fox still.
Right.
Well, he was trying to get this new season. They said because Seth MacFarlane was the one that actually did all the. It's on Netflix right now, actually. This new redo of the Cosmos, but Seth MacFarlane did all the animation, so they said it was going to take forever. Well, they never let him come back because it was so much information that people could actually like get from Fox, watching Fox at night.
So do you think the end goal is to keep people in utter confusion so they can offer people solutions to problems they really don't even understand? And if they ever offer solutions that help them figure out the problems that they originally did not understand, they hide it away from the public.
How about this? How about it's for those people that wait for the automated thing when you call whatever company rather than slamming 0?
I call it digital stasis because it's digital inactivity.
Yeah.
I mean, are you going to get, let's segue into this. Virtual reality is coming this fall to the mainstream.
Dude, it's already here.
I know it's already here, but
it's already here on cell phones, bro.
Affordable, complete omnidirectional virtual reality will be here this fall through the PlayStation Morpheus. Cleverly termed. Oh, bravo, Sony. You took the Matrix movie and you called it Morpheus.
We should do this right now. Like,
why? You don't know how much.
Just shut up. We should do a type of insurance for people that are under virtual reality, to where their house gets robbed when they can't like perceive anything in real life because they're in a virtual world. Right. Can we start? We're starting that right now. So if any insurance company tries to start this, you have to come through us and talk to us about it, because guess what? We started it.
Well, no, you're 100% right. In fact, I'd love to roll with that, because you know how many new enterprises and entrepreneurs are going to come out of this age of digital stasis or digital society.
What movie was it to where like you saw inside somebody's house and they were all like every room?
All I'm saying,
doing virtual reality or video games.
But I want you just to read some Philip K. Dick.
I have before, man.
But yeah, can you imagine when the cars are being like when we can hack these computer cars that nobody is manually driving? Can
Mr.
you imagine?
Hawkins.
Yes.
This is Nick from Public Radio.
Oh,
I'd like to ask you one thing.
Shooter.
How are the Coronas Hencho and Mexico this evening?
We'll see.
Probably add a little
Corona
bit of
is very good with a little bit of lime. It's really crisp and it complements spicy food.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what does it do for you in food? But yeah, it really
I
does
think
wash away that spice and gives you another bite of taco, right?
Well, the one thing about Coronas I got to be careful with is I don't know what kind of water they're filtering in. Like, is it going to be safe for me to drink?
What kind of water are they filtering out? You know what I mean? It's just one of those questions.
But yeah, I mean, Coronas, they're good. They're crisp. They're questionably clean.
Filtering out. It's so stupid. Well, anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the Olympics are done. The confusion has begun. And
what happened to these last 12 to 14 or 15 days with Ryan Lochte doing whatever he did?
What was that? What exactly? What? I mean, previously
so
I was like, it's the entitlement society.
What really happened is, and it is going back to the entitlement society.
He's a bald-faced liar.
They all went and pissed in this bathroom and then tore a sign down at a gas station. but apparently they pissed on the walls and tore a sign down at
What's
the
the
gas
problem?
station.
Like, what's wrong with Americans?
Like they were just drunk. They literally have said they were drunk and they were done, done swimming. So guess what? They got drunk and just went out on the town.
Right, bro. Hang loose.
Hey, man, let's go get drunk and like go piss in the bathroom and like fucking take down some signs.
Robbed, bro. Yeah, that's
So-
a great idea.
So what had happened was the security guard that was there, or some type of security, pulled a gun on them and told them basically to empty their wallets. You have to pay for the damage
In a different
done.
language, if you can.
This is Portuguese. So
Your
anyway.
geography is good.
Well, no,
I thought you were going to say Brazilian.
No, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a lot of the people that like a lot of the moves and a lot of stuff is based on Portuguese, or a lot of the ways that you move, and like it's based on a Portuguese kind of thing. Anyway, I'll just get out of that. I shouldn't say it is, but I feel like you get a lot out of it. Anyway, so what were we talking about?
Well, we're talking about how these Olympic heroes are complete. They're full of fraudulent claims.
Yeah,
And
so-
apparently the security guard pulled a weapon and said, you got to pay for this.
Right. Yeah. So you have to pay for this. Empty your wallets. Pay for this. Well, then he tried to spin it, and even when he was interviewed, he said it doesn't matter. It's about what you think versus what they think. Basically, I can't remember exactly verbatim or word for word, but I can say that that's what he said. He said something along those lines, and you could just tell he was lying at the very beginning of the speech.
Wow.
Yeah.
Remember when I said these Olympic heroes, they don't have much going on upstairs.
They have swimming,
I think that's my point.
or they
Proven.
Well,
Even
that's-
if he was
that's-
intoxicated.
and that's why
inebriated.
that's why we did the jock thing. That's why we had that classification, right? It's because of things like that. They don't care or they don't understand what they're doing or even care what they're doing half the time. They just know swim, play football. I'm sorry,
Right.
that's very
Prompt, command, do.
It's
Just
angry.
do it, right? Nike, just do it.
well. I'm not going to talk shit about Nike, my friend.
Well, why don't you ever just do it? Huh?
What?
What's wrong with you? Why don't you just do it?
Well, actually, Nike is.
Or how about
making
GNC?
some-
Why don't you beat average, whatever that
Nike-
means?
Nike's making some moves right now, so they're getting rid of their golf stuff, and they're not making clubs anymore.
You ever looked into corporate slogans? How they're just they're completely
Well, it's just
void
like-
of
So
thought.
I was sitting at a bar, right, and a man slipped to me a note on a napkin, and it said, "Just do it." So I was like, man, that's like the coolest slogan ever for my company, man. I was like, we should keep doing this, but I should like send it over to China. I should just do it, right?
Ba 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 ba. The sheep are loving it.
Ba 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 Brienne. Ba 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 Brienne. Ba Brienne.
But yeah, I still can't get over some of the slogans.
Ba 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 Brienne. Went to a dance looking for romance. Saw
Stop
Brienne.
at the red. Take a chance. Stop at red.
It was like the worst I could ever sing it, but I thought it was funny. It was like sped up, you know?
What happened to dances? Oh, I mean, here's another point of our culture. Maybe I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm like from the 1950s or something.
Probably like the 40s. You're an old soul, my friend.
But whatever happened to dancing? Like, whatever happened to the physical rendezvous? Whatever happened to making eye contact with that special someone, entangling? Not in Call of Duty, but on the dance floor.
Well, I don't know. Dancing's one of those things. I know I'm not that great at it, man. It's like hard for me to do dancing.
You know what? Let's riff on this. What happened to the dance culture? Where did it go? And once again, is this a reflection of the machine culture?
Well, dude, like people aren't gonna. People can't like shuffle and slow dance at the same time. You can't do it.
I just don't understand it. Why?
But they watch these dances on YouTube.
Twerking is not dancing.
It's upside down on the wall. How is that not dancing?
Twerking is softcore.
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I know you are, but I'm just going to further this explanation. Twerking is softcore expose.
That's awesome, man. I like exposing.
But really, what happened to taking the girl you like, or man, or transgender, inclusive terms, everything, dog, cat, woman, child, adult, consenting adult.
Adult.
Whatever happened to taking the people that you love and dancing with them?
It only happens.
Even the music, you can't dance to whatever is going on at KDWB. For your Minnesota listeners,
we should open up a place like this.
It's roller.
So we'd go along the speakeasy, like name it, kind of like a speakeasy is.
It's a roller skating jamboree. Come on down.
But every night it would be a bunch of people that just pay for seats in your speakeasy, and they eat, and then guess what? Your live band plays them fucking songs, and they get drunk and dance around all night. Because
I want that old fashioned love train.
We'd have like a certain dress attire. Like you have to dress like a gangster. Like that would be the thing.
Right. Like I can't get over how our culture has become just the computer. That's it. And if anybody wants to read a book that satisfies this exploration further,
let me guess, Philip K. Dick.
Read Neil Postman's Technopoly. He suggests that we replace our intrinsic cultural values with the technology we are fascinated with. Go read it. It will enlighten your soul.
If you have a soul.
If you even have a soul.
It sounded like Skeletor on like a new level. That was cool. That was pretty good. Probably ruined your throat though. Sorry.
No.
Just kidding.
I'm ready.
Hey, well,
ready
guess
for all
what?
the Skeletor.
We're gonna play a new thing. We're gonna play Where You Want to Go Next Time for Vacation. Where do you want to go? Where are you going to go?
Norway, Sweden, Norway.
Norway.
I'm going to go both.
Norway, Sweden, Norway. Definitely Norway, Sweden. Definitely. So you don't want to go to like Mexico, or like you don't want to get killed in like Brazil in a favela or something?
I'd like to go to Paraguay.
Paraguay? Where
Paraguay?
Everything's ready to do.
Paraguay, Norway, Sweden, Iceland. My heritage. Listen. Actually, I shouldn't disclose this because this is genetic composition I'm disclosing.
Well, people really want to hear this about you, Mr. Hawkins.
Germanic, Dutch, Norwegian, Swedish, and I'm told
You're told you're good with an axe, right?
a pinch of Indian.
Oh, so you have a little Indian inside.
And I used to say, Cherokee, but I think it's Chippewa.
Oh, Zimbabwe. I'm just
Zimbabwe.
kidding. No, I know. Chippewa, I think actually I have part Chippewa in my blood too. But I don't know for sure either.
So I want to visit the places that are historically relevant with my heritage. How about yourself?
So you want to travel to 18 different countries?
Okay, well, after the heritage, I would love to hit places that I feel are of historical and spiritual significance. So I would like to see the Great Pyramids of Giza.
Just listen, Shark. You want to go to the Mayan temples?
Yeah, of course. I want to see.
That's where we should. That's where we'll start on auditory osmosis. When we go out of this country again,
we go out of orbit. Mayan. We're going to Mars.
We can't tell them about this, dude. You open your mouth. NASA is gonna fucking hunt you down now and shoot you with a laser rocket.
They only care if you open your mind, not your mouth.
You opened both of those tonight. I've seen you smoke so much pot, and you ate you ate so many chips again.
I had a relapse of the carbohydrates.
We didn't even tell people where we were at again, but we're actually back
in undisclosed location.
Thank you, Archer. We're in Colorado. We're Maryland. So
hit him with the lipid pause. Hit him with the lipid pause, goddammit.
It doesn't work.
But really,
come sing along with me. See to my right, and I'm getting faded at the tiki bar tonight. And I'm rolling up like my name is Bob. Yeah, I'm gonna party like I'm a Jamaican. If you really wanna know where you can find me, I'll be unwinding down in the islands.
All right, so what we were saying earlier is, sorry, we had somebody run in here. I'm sorry to say it was a little person. We can't say the M word anymore. He ran through here and he like tickled our bellies. It was the funniest thing I'd ever seen in my life.
Yeah,
how you feel?
Midget. No, I'm
Whoa.
What?
You said the M word, bro.
Midget?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A smidget of a midget? Coming through the studio.
Yo!
Smidget of a midget.
Coming to the studio, working them little legs over, and a go.
It's gonna be the Red Hot Chili Peppers' next hit single. It'll be in the album will be called "Politically Incorrect," and each song is going to be a politically incorrect statement. A smidget of a midget. Ow!
Midget of a midget is really cool because you all don't.
But you know what I seen?
You look like a fool.
Or what I saw, sensei.
Seesaw?
You ever heard
one of those things that go up and down, like back and forth, like with a fulcrum, and like that's a seesaw, right?
Yep.
Sorry.
You ever heard of Man on the Street episodes? We're like, okay, somebody goes on the street,
right?
Asks obscure questions, and then they go, "Oh, you didn't get it right. You're so dumb." You ever seen that? Like Jay and Leno used to do it.
Yeah.
People on YouTube. Well, I saw one that was genuinely funny, and I'll describe it. These characters, one was black.
Is it called the Cash Cab?
No.
Because
one was black, one was white, and they were out on the street, and they were asking people to come up and like read this thing. And the white guy kept on insisting that he was black, and the black guy kept on insisting he was white. and it was a play on all this transgender stuff, right?
Yeah, for sure.
All these people being like, yeah, I know I'm a female, but I identify as a male, and I think it's totally racist or sexist to think that I'm not entitled to what I want to identify as. And, you know, if you don't really agree with what I identify as, then I guess you're a bigot. And you know what? Bigots are not tolerable people in public areas of discussion. So I went too far with that. But these guys were playing off of that. And the white guy was like, no, I'm black. I'm black, dude. Why you keep calling me white? I'm black. And so people were coming up completely confused. And they were challenging these preconceptions and these idiotic suggestions that the inclusiveness, the politically correct realm of inclusiveness, right? And so the black guy kept going, bro, I'm white. What are you, a bigot? I'm not black. I'm white, bro. Quit calling me black. And the white guy kept vice versa, right? Yeah. So isn't that funny how you can apply that argument to skin color? And it can make just as much sense as the gender argument when you apply it to skin color, but it's just as absurd if you apply it to each one.
But then it all goes back to the mind, like how you perceive somebody's mind is they're crazy, right?
Right, but I mean, what is okay? Just to capitalize on this, did you know the United Nations? Go ahead.
So you accept it, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, you do. You're forced to accept it. But get this: the United Nations used to consider identifying as a transgender a form of mental illness. An international group of psychologists used to call this.
Being gay used to be the same thing.
Okay, but after the media propaganda of transgender identity went crazy in America, the UN changed their whole stance. Right. It's no longer under the umbrella of mental ailment or illness. So I'm saying, if I wanted to tomorrow go down the street and then tell people I'm not white, I'm black, and that it's my choice to identify with that color of skin, and then proceed to call them a racist because of their objectional.
Could you go to court?
Well, this is my whole point. Are we feeding into an era of quasi mental illness? And I say quasi because I don't want to say that people who identify as transgender are mentally ill. I get it. You might have some problems in the chemistry of your body. I'm not going to take that away from you. But at the same time, don't these people recognize that this can be used by malevolent creatures?
Oh, yeah. Well, no, they don't. Most of them don't. They don't understand where it could in any way change their whole life.
Well, I just don't understand that. Like, how do these people, they want to push this claim that they're trans, blah, blah, blah. But it just doesn't make sense if you apply it worldwide. So what I'm getting at is I think the UN was correct to say that the majority of transgender cases was a form of mental illness. I mean, hell, people believe in the Easter Bunny. And if an adult believed in the Easter Bunny, the majority of psychologists would say that's a mental ailment. But yet, for some reason, somebody who believes that they're not a man when they are a man, you see what I'm saying? The suspension of reality. How do you differentiate between a real problem and a mental illness?
Yeah, that's something you'll have to continue to go to school.
Blurred lines again.
Blurred lines. Yeah, so I don't know. That's what you're going to school for, to learn.
I'm going to school to prove that the transgenders are legit.
Hey, okay, it doesn't matter if you're 62 years old, Mr. Hawkins. You can still go to school and you can still keep learning.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Well, you know that the environment is more of an educational tool than any book you'll ever read. For instance, did you know war is actually a form of education? People learn more from war than they will in their entire lifetime in school.
Yeah, I bet.
It's crazy, right? We really shifted gears. I mean, we had like a meltdown a little bit ago, and we had to cut to a break, but we're back.
That was kind of funny.
That was funny.
I mean, this studio got a little rowdy, if you know what I mean.
Just a bit. Domino's guy came, and I was like, I didn't order pizza.
I mean, he does that every time we're on. I think he's one of our
I think it's a listener pranking.
He's got to
us.
be a listener just listening, maybe.
Those listeners. It's better than the watchers watching.
I mean, they're not really watching much yet because we haven't given you guys our actual new videos, but we'll have videos.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm gonna let you hang 10. Let you surf on your own for about 2 minutes.
No,
and I'll be right back.
You can't
After a few brief messages
from our sponsors.
Not from our sponsors, from Mr. Nicholas Ritter.
No, I know. I'm just kidding. So,
BRB.
UFC 202. Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz 2. That kind of rhymes, huh? Well, 2 and 2, I guess, shouldn't be able to rhyme anyway. It was such a good fight. Conor played the role exactly how he should have. He kept the distance, and he put everything he could into the leg kicks of that front foot of Diaz. It really slowed him down. He's just not good at. He's got that boxing mentality, so he's got that southpaw stance. So he's got that right leg forward all the time, and he's just ready to make those punches. And of course he's black belt in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, but so. He doesn't check kicks, and he doesn't change his stance for anybody. He won't show that he's hurting. He won't try to no. Anyway, so he's not letting the people know that he's hurt, but it's hurting him, but he won't change his stance. So he just continues to get these leg kicks so Conor can just hold him off at a distance. But he still gets through it, man. He did real well. I still think that and then Conor, of course, at the end of the fight called him out at 155, but I don't know. I think the way that it should be scored is the aggression. It says aggression, but who had the most aggression towards the end? I mean, who was the stronger of the two guys? I think they should give Diaz more of a count in points. Oh, hello! I was just talking about the Conor McGregor Nate Diaz fight.
Yeah, tell me more about that actually. And you know what? I was timing. I was like all the added time.
I just said it all, but Conor McGregor won this one in decision, so they went 5 rounds. Nate Diaz actually did a great job towards the end of the fight, so he got stronger at the end, and again, that Conor McGregor started to get tired. So I feel like what I was saying right as you got back.
Wait, how many rounds? How many rounds of this?
They went 5 rounds, so they went 25 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Went to decision. And
man, in hindsight, UFC 200 with Lesnar, I kind of hate the fact that the UFC kind of let Lesnar do that to them.
Well, again,
I know it was a mutual gain.
Well, they're saying it was estrogen blockers, but they're not. I don't think they're being truthful with Lesnar's thing. Anyway, yes.
Well, my point is why did they let his celebrity blow it up? I mean, I understand the economic or the financial aspect, but why did they allow a guy like Brock Lesnar blow up the card and then get away with not returning? Like, I feel as if he's some type of novelty thing, and he's not a real fighter. And I know that's what he is, but why does the UFC let him get away with that?
Because John Jones was supposed to fight Daniel Cormier, and he didn't get to do that. Okay. So they had to call in their wild card. Which I don't blame him.
No, yeah.
He's like, hey, Brock, we need to get you into the UFC right now because we need a draw. He's like, we'll do a, and this is what one of my podcasts said too. One of the ones that I listened to, but he said is the fighter and the kid. But he said, yeah, I'm just to the tits. Let me fight. And he's like, well, we'll just get you a little waiver that says you don't have to take a drug test yet. Blah blah blah. Like, okay,
Right.
Supposedly. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely a weird thing with the WWE and the UFC kind of merging. But it makes sense, and I don't blame them for any of that.
Right.
But yeah, you know what I was thinking? Even when it comes to dancing and stuff, what's up with our attire? Why did we allow the urban city thuggery replace the... Okay, there's two sides. There's the urban thuggery versus the business etiquette.
No,
and
there's not. Okay,
there
so
really is.
This is what it is. There is America, which is like upper class. We try to like think of ourselves as like upper class and like wearing suits and as much as we can and wearing nice clothes. And then there's Mexican, and then there's Cuban, and then there's Russian, and then so it's nothing.
Yeah, but the business class is across the board. Everybody wears a suit and tie if you're important.
Yeah, that's true.
What I'm saying is, like, whatever happened to the Edwardian or the old attire? Whatever happened to the Elizabethan era of dress code? Yeah, of course that was a history, Mr. Ether Hawkins. But I feel as if that is it's so dignified. Have you ever looked up in the Edwardian wardrobe? Maybe the last remaining evidence for the dignified wardrobe. And Edwardian, I believe, is around like 1910 to 1915. Correct me if I'm wrong here.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to do that if you're wrong or right. So,
but maybe the listeners can. But I want to spend money on something super dignified because I want to have the monocle. I want to have the cane. I want to have.
What you do is you go to the local haberdashery in St. Paul.
Well,
Minnesota,
I'm not talking about
like
steampunk cosplay
in the big city of Minnesota. I'm not talking about cosplay. I'm just saying you can go there. You can get your whole shit on. They give you the flat razor shave. They give you the jacket with the vest with a tie. We'll say a bow tie because that's awesome. Nice fit,
right.
Nice fitting, nice shoe polish.
I want the handkerchief in case
they'll give it to you.
A damsel in distress is crying.
Yeah, or if they have to blow their nose because
I want to bring back.
They're in distress of allergies.
I want to bring back the dance floor. I want to bring back Edwardian wardrobes. I want to integrate it into the modern circuitry. I want to
have a restaurant called Edwardians Only, so they get like really good food, but they have to dance.
I just don't know where our culture is headed.
Well, and of course, none of us do.
But I really, none of us know the future, honestly, Mr. Ether Hawkins.
Honestly, the movie Idiocracy said it best, and we keep getting dumber, and more people are dumber and dumber and dumber. But
you know what Mike Judge said about that, and a few of his people who produced it?
He was foreshadowing.
And not only that, but he said, I did not expect this film to become a documentary so quickly.
Oh shit.
Did you know what the They Live director said, John Carpenter? What? He said it was science fiction, now it's a documentary. So you have these people who are foreshadowing, as you say, the future of our dystopian elements, and then they reflect it, they juxtapose it against current society, and now they're coming out with these reiterations, and they're saying well, this is now a documentary because we're so far gone in some aspects. Other aspects we're not so far gone. We still have. In fact, let's do a little segment right now.
There we go. We're starting a new segment. It's called
Things That Are Great About Today.
Things That Are Great About Today.
You know what I love about today?
What do you love about today, Mr. Hawkins?
I love how I can order anything that used to be a specialty item, and I can search for it, and not only search for it online, but I can kind of check prices and have these these different vendors may have the same product, but they have to compete for my money. So I can get an item that 50 years ago would have been about $200 because it was so rare to find. It's now only about $50 because there's multiple vendors online competing against each other. Capitalism at work with technology aiding the transportation of the item.
Aiding the bubble.
Aiding the bubble with Nicholas Ritter. Oh, we're just aiding the economic bubble. There's the housing bubble, the .com bubble.
There's like internet bubbles, like blowing them. The
And
bubbles.
There's Hubba Bubble bubblegum bubbles.
Bubbles was the boy next door.
And there's Bubbles and Trailer Park Boys. He's funny. But really, what do you like about today? We always complain about, or okay, not we.
It's all
usually
my kitty. It's all my kitties, Ricky. I just got so many kitties.
I don't know if that's a good idea, Ricky.
I can't even do it right now. I shouldn't even.
Julian, that sounds a good idea.
Julian, it's not a good idea. All right, we're done. We're done talking about Trailer Park Boys.
What is good? What is good about today to you? Like, what is happening right now that you couldn't fathom 10 years ago?
A heated pool, man.
Heated pool? Wow.
Not
They
really.
had those like 10 years ago.
That's just I just got to go swimming today, so that just helped me. How about
What is good about today? I can swim.
no, I went swimming.
We're not talking about personal reflection.
I'm sorry, but those personal reflections help me reflect on just about as much as I can reflect on. Because I'd be able to take that time out and just be able to think rather than pushed to do what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. You know what I mean?
How do you feel about cashless society?
Well, you'll never be able to have a debt. You'll never be able to not pay your debt because guess what? You don't have to.
You're locked in.
Just the thing about RFID chips and the new thing. It's like, guess what? So a cop drives by a bar, and he wants to see who's in that bar. Everybody's got the new chip in their ID card, and they just scan the whole bar, and they can see every person that's in it from that RFID chip. But this is also about being on the grid, right?
Yeah. This
is another tactic and another thing to put you on there at every minute of every day. They even have them in your tires nowadays. So if you really wanted to get tracked, they could track you with your RFID unit in your tires. How's that sound for fun?
I knew about this. In fact, I bet you discovered that through a documentary on Netflix.
Well, we both watched that, but I looked into it too. But it only takes like 2 devices. But
here's my point.
I found this through a hacker, though, and how easy it was.
I found that Netflix is the brand new platform for conventional propaganda. Okay, for instance, I think I saw like a Geico commercial or something. And it just summed up, remind you, or just mind you, that re or without the re. Yeah, exactly. That commercial media or marketing advertisements, they are reflections of the society we live in. They actually mirror the collective image we paint of ourselves through choices. So, anyways, I was watching a crazy, crazy commercial on the television, Tell Us Our Vision, and it said a mother came in and she goes, all summer she was binge watching. Now this fall and this winter, she'll be binge studying. And it was really dry and it was really just dull humor. But it just really showed what we're all about. Like, you know how many people binge watch? Because, okay, I think I've said in a podcast before, abundance creates apathy. Nothing sacred or special if you have an abundance of it. So when you have unlimited TV shows without commercials, you're going to binge watch it. And what she was really saying, what that commercial really says, is we are, I guess, a brave neuron world where we're driven by obsessive compulsive
tendencies.
Thank you. And that's just it. We binge watch and then we binge study. How sad is that? Like,
and then we binge work. And
once again, if you study classical psychology, I don't know what they're doing lately in psychology. I'm not kidding. Listen to me, Nicholas.
I like to binge eat.
Yeah, exactly, right? That's a problem. So let me just say this. Listen to me here. Psychology has been starting to sway towards propaganda. I don't know how long this has been, but remember when I said, like, okay, the UN they're switching out of transgender being a mental illness. And maybe that's the right move. But what I'm saying is, consider how powerful it is when a group of psychologists or an institution or association says, we are no longer classifying this as an ailment. This is a natural tendency of the human populace. What I'm trying to say is they become enablers. They become intellectual enablers. So if they tell people it's all right to binge watch, mind you, what do they always say? Everything in moderation. Not anymore.
Yeah,
moderation is no longer a sign of healthy temperament.
Well, it is actually.
It is actually, right? In reality. But now she's just binge watching and then she'll be binge studying. It's an addiction-driven society.
Well, it's just like why it's cool to watch the Kardashians over like.
But why are psychologists saying that it's all right? They're actually chiming in to say that this is okay.
You think they're really saying that?
They're saying that on the surface. Probably behind closed doors, they go, look at these idiots. They're addicted to blah, 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 blah. But the point is the commercial profiteering says, hey, can we just get some Ivy League psychologists to say that binge watching Netflix is all right? And then the next thing you know, you got a few Ivy League psychologists who are paid off going, studies show that binge watching Netflix is actually an indicator of a high IQ. And their voice fluctuates because if you study body language, voice fluctuates when people lie. Of course, unless they're character acting, then you can't really tell what they're talking about because they're in character. But that's beyond the point. My point to you, Mr. Nicholas Ritter, is can we use psychologists, pay them off to justify older behaviors or behaviors that we used to consider to be a sign of mental illness? And can we normalize mental illness in society?
No. It's always been a scapegoat, right? Or it's always been, I mean, granted, people have mental illnesses, but it's always been looked at as like a negativity. You know what I mean? It's always been pushed as negative and like, why can't you help these people instead of
But wouldn't that commercial, which I just kind of made a little overview of, wouldn't that suggest that behavior out of moderation is normal?
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
So, if you combine that with other factors, you can start to suggest to people that having obsessive compulsive traits is good for the economy. It's good. It's a good behavior. Please keep doing it. It enables people
Here at Ritter Factory, we love you when you have obsessive compulsive disorders because we know you're never going to fuck up on your line job. You're going to push that wrench the same time, the same amount every day. You're going to understand that it takes 57 strokes of that nice torque wrench you got from Snap-on, and you're going to hit that thing with the perfect amount. Now back to you.
Right? Well, I mean, it's just we're in this weird. We actually are in Twilight Zone. I mean, I'm looking on Google News right now, and in the top headline, mind you, these algorithms are actually dictated to be directed at me, depending on my search results. So I don't know why this is directed at me, but the top thing coming from Political is on Jimmy Kimmel's show, Clinton mocks failing health conspiracies. And then if I go to the bottom, People magazine 1 hour ago, watch Hillary Clinton prove that she is in good health to be president by opening a jar of pickles on Jimmy Kimmel's show. Like, what are we, 8 years old? What is this? What is going on? And mind you, during all of this, it says Washington Post, FBI uncovers 14,900 more documents in Clinton email probe. Mm-hmm. Like, you see what I'm getting at? What is this cultural mosaic? Have you ever watched the State Department? I'm going to start jumping around here.
I'm not going to be able to let you do that because I have to take off in the morning.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah,
totally forgot about that. I lose track of the time. Time flies when you're having fun.
It is a fun night. But I apologize
all I'm gonna
for interrupting you.
Did you ever get to see the State Department recently when a journalist from, I don't know, RT, and I get it's like a Kremlin propaganda agency, and it can be that, but they're still asking the right questions, which are pretty funny. Go and type in State Department, quote unquote, am I speaking English? It's where a journalist tries to get the same answer out of the State Department head, but she keeps giving him a non-answer. And eventually he just asks her, am I not speaking English? Do you not understand what I'm asking you? Because you're not answering my question. You can find numerous videos of the State Department in an Orwellian fashion giving non-direct answers to journalists as if it's some type of...
Do you not understand?
It's like it's adolescent formality for these journalists to ask questions. And the State Department, being the adult wearing the big boy pants, can't really answer it.
Don't let the State Department bully you. That should be our next t-shirt. I mean, that's perfect.
Charge like $200 for each shirt.
You'll have like Uncle Sam with dreadlocks or like cornrows, and he'll be still pointing at you, but you don't want him to point at you anymore because he's threatening you,
I want to make a shirt that says Uncle Sam knows everything about you.
No, about me? What did I do?
About you. And he just pointed at you.
Are you a spy?
And his eyes, instead of black pupils, are just a 1 and a 0.
He looks everywhere I go with the 1 and 0 eyes.
Yeah, Uncle Sam, he knows everything about you.
And he's still pointing at you. He knows, but he's got cornrows. It's like awesome. With a bandana and like broken sunglasses or something like a dog tags.
Uncle Sam, he listens to corn. Just something really weird. Doesn't even make sense.
Oh, what a great T-shirt, right?
Wait, I'm coming undone today. Using the NSA. Spy on the American populace. DEA.
Whoa, sorry. All right. So
the acronym flying about on auditory osmosis.
Summing up tonight's episode, we don't like how the government's treating us. Number 2.
Doesn't sum tonight up. I'd say that our culture is
Just
being
kidding,
manufactured.
no, I'm just being stupid, Mr. Hawkins.
All right.
Oh my god. Are you shutting down again?
No.
You can't talk anymore? What's going on?
No, I'm ready.
You are? You ready?
Hunk of burning love.
Oh, you ready?
Mr. Elvis, you look bloated and very red. Are you sure you want to go on stage? Oh, yeah.
I took a lot of Vicodin, man.
I'm all ready for the stage.
Just want to hop it.
But hey, I guess I want to end tonight's broadcast on a more subtle note, and perhaps I'd like to just sing a few stanzas from Kenny Rogers' The Gambler.
Welcome to Subtle Notes with Mr. Ether Hawkins.
On a warm summer's evening, on the same mountain nowhere, I met up with the gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, so we took our turns staring out the window of the darkness. The boredom overtook us. He began to speak. He says, "Son, I made my life out of reading people's faces, knowing where the cards were, or the way they held their eyes. So if you don't mind